Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another Spooky Sunday video. So in today's video we are going to be reading your spooky scary stories. I've checked the Spooky Sunday email. Here is the email if you ever want to send me a scary story. It can literally be about anything scary that's ever happened to you, and it doesn't matter if it's long, it doesn't matter if it's short. I will read all of your stories, and without further ado, let's get on into the video and I hope you will like it. Okay, so this first one is from the account called HorrorFam08, and the title of the email says Family S. Walker Stories, and it says, my family definitely has some of the most terrifying S. Walker encounter stories. Some seem so far-fetched that they can be believed as fiction, but I leave that up to you. My dad has had some of the most extreme encounters with these dark entities, and through the years he has shared them with me and my kid sister. This one still scares me to this day. My childhood was never perfect. My mom and dad were young when they had me. We lived with both of my grandparents, my mom and my dad. At times this would often cause friction between them. Living on the reservation is pretty tough, especially during these times. Every so often my mom and dad would have arguments, which would often end up with my dad leaving and staying with my grandma and grandpa. During one of these times my dad would have one of the most chilling encounters. This encounter took place in the fall. My dad had been staying with my grandma and grandpa for a few weeks at this point. On this day, he and my uncle, who was 4 years older than him, asked him to come with him to town in order to handle family business and sell some of his jewelry that he had made. Feeling that this trip would also serve him as an opportunity to search for work, they both left for the day. The day had been rather long, and after completing what they had set out for, they began to make their way home. Since neither of them had a car, they had to hitchhike into and out of the town. My grandparents' house is pretty far, so walking and hitchhiking was the only form of transportation. The sun was setting fast. They had finally gotten to the road that led home, but by this point no one was driving on the road. It was getting dark really quick, so both my dad and my uncle sped up. For some reason my dad explained that he had been getting strange feelings that something was trailing them, and he just wasn't sure what it was. He had been walking for no more than 20 minutes when he noticed his brother was nearly in a full jog, and he asked him, "Hey, what's going on?" His brother looked at him with a look of dread and told him to keep up. After jogging for 10 minutes, my dad said that he could hear rocks being thrown at them from different directions. His blood had run cold, and they both began to run faster. A few moments later, they stopped to catch their breath. This was when he heard it. Somewhere off in the distance, it began saying his name, and they tried to keep their composure. They started running this time in full sprint. As they sprinted, my dad could hear it running behind them. He told us that it was running on bare feet. Because of the sound its feet made when it ran, he noticed that it would run on 2 feet and then run on all 4s. Terrified, they finally made it to the last hill. They both knew it was the last 100 yards to the house. Out of breath, they had to stop and catch their breath. As they stood below the hill gasping for air, they both caught wind of the rancid smell of death. It was so close. He said that his brother gagged. As they started running up the hill, it said his name again, and it sounded so close that it might as well have been whispering it in his ear. As they finally reached home, they both noticed that no one was home. The lights were off and no smoke was coming from the stovepipe, this being the sign that no one was home. Not wanting to be outside for any longer, they raced inside to an extension of the house. It was basically a 1-bedroom built 20 feet from the main home. After racing inside, they locked themselves in, wanting to forget what had happened. They decided to go to bed, hoping that some sleep would erase what had happened. Sometime during the night, my dad explained that he had suddenly awakened. Not really sure what time it was, he looked around the room, only realizing it was the middle of the night. Trying to go back to sleep, he tossed and turned for a few minutes, and as soon as his eyes began to grow heavy, that's when he noticed something from the corner of his eye. A black human shape was staring in through the small window next to the door. I say human shape because my dad said that it was misshapen. It looked human, but while it was peering inside, its arm leaned against the window. Instead of a hand, it had a hoof. His blood ran cold. Staring at the window, he couldn't move. As he stared, it moved slowly towards the door. He could see the outline of the head as it faced the door. It looked more like a sheep's head. He could hear the jiggle of the doorknob as it tried to open the door. Suddenly breaking out of his trance, he called for my uncle, but he didn't answer. Calling his name again, he finally answered, telling him to ignore it and it would go away. Fully awake now, he couldn't go back to sleep. Staring at the window, he noticed it had disappeared, wondering where it had gone. He suddenly heard it from the far corner of the room. It began to dry heave. His pulse was racing, and trying to figure out what the hell was going on, Bam! It hit the side of the room that my dad was sleeping on, sending him to stand up along with his brother in the middle of the room. They could hear it whispering their names as it moved outside. At times they could hear it cackling lightly. As it moved, he swears that it walked on all fours, the sound of hoofs on gravel and hard earth. As the night went on, they had grown tired. They could no longer hear it. The smell of death had disappeared. Feeling relieved, they went back to bed. My dad woke up the next afternoon walking over to the house to talk to my grandparents. He explained what had happened to them. He said they were shocked as he told them what happened. As he finished, my grandma told him to grab the cedar bundle from her and place them on the fire they had made and bless him with the smoke. As he finished, my grandma told him that this will probably not be the last time he sees them and gave him a stern warning to never be out late. As he finished his story, he gave me and my sister that same warning: never be out after dark and never go looking for them or they will find you. Whew, so that was a really long story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It really freaked me out. I felt like I was reading like a whole book. I feel like you could be really good at writing stories and being an author. It was very well written and it creeped me out. So I would say maybe you should get into like writing horror stories. I don't know if you already do that, but it was really interesting. Yeah, I feel like you'd be really good at writing horror stories. Thank you for sending your story in. It creeped me out so much. What do you guys think? Do you think it was an S-Walker? I feel like it could be. Obviously your grandma definitely knew. It's something that we don't right now. Never knew that you could use like cedar to bless somebody. So that's an interesting fact that I've learned today. But yeah, thank you for sending in your story. I really enjoyed reading it. Okay, this one is from Nikki M, and it says, one night while I was outside with my cousins, I was telling a scary story about S-Walkers, and the dogs there went crazy after I said the word. And then when everyone went inside but me, I heard a scream saying, "Save me, please, come save me, please." And when I told my aunt, she acted very strange about it. And when I stayed with her that night, I heard the same scream. Oh, that's scary. I don't know if you watch my like scary TikTok videos in terms of S-Walkers, but the voice ones really freak me out, and they never sound fully human. They sound human, but they have no emotion in them. So I wonder if the voice that you heard sounded human but had like no emotion. Like, did it sound as if it was going, "Save me, please, help me, save me"? Like, if it was like that, oh, it freaks me out so much. But thank you for sending in your story. I really loved reading it. This one was sent from Chrislyn Holmes, and it says, "Hello, I don't know if you're doing S-Walker stuff on your account, but I have a story for you that happened last weekend at my grandma's house. I was sitting on the couch watching a movie with my grandma. She was falling asleep. When she did, I looked out of her back door that was facing near me. I saw a pair of glowing eyes staring at me directly, not blinking at all. It scared me. I couldn't wake my grandma. I was so scared. I somehow ignored it. It still gives me goosebumps to think about it." Thank you for sending me your story. I don't know if it was an S-Walker. Could be an animal. I don't know. Because even animals' eyes can look red sometimes. Like, if you ever taken a picture with flash on and in certain lighting your eyes look red, but then there's no flash, I don't know. It's creepy. I don't know if I have an explanation for it. Is it an S-Walker or is it an animal? Let me know what you guys think. But thank you for sending in your story. I absolutely loved reading it. Okay, this one is from Lola, and it says, "Hi, I'm Lola. My friend Zero sent in a story to you and you read it. I was the friend they were with when they played the Ouija board." I really hate saying the word Ouija board. It just gives me the freaks. Anyway, I have a story from when I was hanging out with them and when I was alone. So basically, this was when I was alone and only my dad was home. I was sitting in my room watching Glee when I saw my door shake back and forth and it was closed. I thought it was my dad, so I called to him and asked him if he had shook it, but he was downstairs doing dishes. The thing is, my window was closed. Another time, I was hanging out with Zero and we were watching TikToks in my room when suddenly the same thing happened with the door. I walked out of the room and saw no one there. My dad was in the bathroom taking a Number 2, no one else was there. Lastly, I was hanging out with Zero and we heard creaking in the floors upstairs. No one was home but us and we were downstairs. My dad was at my mom's house. They were smoking together. We kept hearing creaking and freaked out. Zero had it all on video on their other phone, but that phone broke. I called my dad and told him to come home. I told him what happened and he didn't believe me. Thank you for sending in your story, and hello Zero. I'm glad that you're happy I read your story. Did all of this happen after the Ouija board thing? Oh my god, I get really creeped out every time I say Ouija board. I don't know why. I don't like watching anything with Ouija boards in it. Like, I will never watch a film that has Ouija boards in it. I won't watch YouTube videos about them. Or TikToks. I don't know what it is, but I get scared that if I watch it, it's gonna like attract stuff. Anyway, did all of this happen after the Ouija board situation? I would love to know. Let me know updates. I hope you're okay. It's so freaky that all of this is happening to you, but I'm sending you all my love and hopefully you are okay. But thank you for sending in your story. I absolutely loved reading it. Okay, so that is all the stories that I have for you today. I'm going to do a part 2 because I do have more stories, but I don't want to make this video too long. So go to part 2 if I haven't read your story in this one. I'm sure it will be in the next one. But yeah, I hope you liked the video. If you did, please remember to smash a massive thumbs up. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, I will see you all soon. Peace.